Hello friends, and welcome to Figure Study, where we are taking a look at Cyberverse Hammerbyte. Or if you want to get technical, Transformers, Bumblebee, Cyberverse Adventures, Action Attackers, Warrior Class, Hammerbyte. I'm just going to call him Hammerbyte. And I will say up front, while this is definitely a simple figure in terms of look and paint and all that, it's also extremely fun. I adore this. It's a hammerhead, like a cybernetic hammerhead, and there are some things that kind of set it apart. I mean, keeping in mind that this is a simpler line, a simpler series, a simpler figure, I feel like I could forgive pretty much all of the little nitpicks that I'm going to point out on this thing, so just keep that in mind. But there are definitely some nitpicks, like, primarily, the shape of the shark is actually quite nice, and it comes together pretty well. But it's just these bits down in the back here. I feel like these stick out too much. I mean, they did what they could to kind of narrow it down back here, and there's some really cool engineering that goes on in this area during the transformation, but it's a little bit unfortunate that these stick out and kind of ruin the silhouette of the shark. Other than that, though, the silhouette itself is pretty darn good. I could, of course, use some paint here and there. Like the little back fin right here has this kind of gunmetal-y color here, but then there's nothing on the dorsal fin. I wish that maybe there was a little bit there to kind of tie it together, but again, it's a simpler line. I do like, though, this metallic blue that they used for the pectoral fins and the wide part of the hammerhead. The colors themselves are nice. It's interesting that they used like metallic blue paint for the head and the fins, but then it's a dark blue plastic for this part of the head and the tail. And even though this isn't metallic and this is, the tones are pretty close. Though the dark gunmetal color here does kind of... It gets a little muddy in here color-wise just because you've got a dark shade next to a dark shade and another dark shade. But it does make those light blue eyes pop very nicely. And I do think the color scheme here works. It's just like, could use a little bit more breakup here and there. Some of the contrast is a little bit off. But, the light blue with the dark blue and then the gunmetal, it's a nice combination. There's almost like a scales effect going down here, which is weird because sharks don't actually have scales. Sharks also aren't robots, so there is that. It would be nice if there was some more detailing here and there, but then I could always go in and paint it up myself later if I wanted to. And I might. I don't know. I do kind of desperately want to go in here and paint the teeth, because I do like that he's got the opening and closing mouth, and when you close it all the way, it gets out of the way for the gimmick in robot mode, which is really, really clever. But I do kind of want to paint the teeth. I also really like that they've got these little thrusters here that they painted, so that it does kind of look like it's more of a flying shark than a swimming shark. It's neat. I don't know what else I could say about it. I really like Hammerbyte's shark mode. It's definitely got some things that are a little bit like, but for the most part, very cool. Anyway, looking at Hammerbyte next to a sort of standard Deluxe, you can see that, yes, he's a simpler Cyberverse figure, warrior class, but size-wise, it's not that far off from a Deluxe, so that's pretty good. I mean, granted, like, if you hold these two together, this guy is significantly heavier than this guy, but just in general, in terms of size, pretty darn close. And to keep rolling with the Cyberverse comparisons, no car puns intended, here he is with Cyberverse Adventures Deluxe Bumblebee. And just to show him with another Cyberverse Beast former, here he is with Spark Armor Cheetor, minus the Spark Armor, obviously. And lastly, here he is with the Duck Tank. Alright, let's turn this thing into a robot. I'm actually going to go through the transformation this time rather than speeding it up because, one, it's simple, and two, I want to kind of talk about what's really interesting about the engineering here. So first off, I'm going to push the lower jaw all the way up into the upper jaw there to get that out of the way. And that hiding away is very handy. I'm going to pull the arms out of here. They peg in right there. So pull those out. And then we got to move these panels. I find the easiest way to do it is to just kind of pull these down and out, and that will pop them out. Pull down and out to pop that open. And then this entire part of the shark swings up and around and tabs in back here, nice and solidly. This bit here swings down, and there are some little tabs in here that sort of loosely connect up here, just to keep it from wiggling. So bring that down, split the legs, fold the tail up and into the inside on this side. And now these panels, it's really cool. I like how this comes down and around and closes up to complete the foot. But it also hides these thrusters and like all of this shark detail from the outside. So it's just a neat way to go about kind of changing his mass, or redistributing his mass rather, and also completely changing up certain the silhouette of like certain parts. Next, going to rotate the pectoral fins that are on the arms around. Rotate the arm there, bring it down, and position. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because it prevents me from accidentally setting off the gimmick, which I will talk about in a minute. But yeah, once you get the arms positioned, that's it. That is Hammerbyte in his robot mode, and this is a pretty darn cool looking robot mode too. It's definitely got like a C-bot vibe with that trident crest on his head and the little like lower jaw that indicate shark teeth going around the chest design there. He even has kind of like a pseudo scaly, even though again sharks don't have scales, thing going on down in his lower legs. And of course the fins on the forearms. But I really like this, and I like the color use here, how you've got the light blue, but it's more separated now by the darker gray. And then the metallic blue, the darker metallic blue is up on the fins. You've got a little bit up on the shoulders. That's when the light catches it, it stands out, but when the light does not catch it, it does not. There's, of course, more of that metallic blue in the knees and more of that dark gray in the thighs to kind of break it up. And then it's not metallic, but there is darker blue in the pelvis area along with a little bit of yellow. And, of course, the darker gray in the chest. So yeah, the color breakup here is much, much better than with the shark. And this is a really cool-looking robot. It's got a nice silhouette. It's surprisingly clean-looking from the front and from the back. It's a little bit, he's got a little bit of a backpack, but it's not that bad, considering how simple the transformation is and all that. I'm really impressed by this. I definitely, at some point, want to go in and add a little bit more paint detailing here and there, but, this is really, really cool. And looking at the finer details, you can see again this that scaly detail. It doesn't quite work for me, but it's okay. What could be fins on the sides of the leg here, maybe. They gave him toes for some reason. More of that layered look, or the thighs kind of going here, but now the layering is going up instead of down. And the diamond knees. The fists, he seems to have these little knuckle duster things, which is kind of neat. I really like the way that the pectoral fins in their new position kind of follow the forearm and just sweep up like that. It's a nice angle. Some little plate detailing in the shoulders, some nice texture in the chest, and of course the head, which is kind of generic robot with a helmet on until you get to the giant trident crest up there, which is neat. I can't tell if the eyes are painted or just unpainted light blue plastic. I mean, because the face is painted like that, even up right under the crest there, it does help the eyes stand out. But I feel like maybe they could have been a different color, though there's no way I'm getting a paintbrush in there. Yeah, it's a neat looking robot. It's cool. I like the transformation, even though it's simple. He does a lot with a very little bit. And the gimmick does not get in the way of anything. And transforming him by bringing the arms down at the very end makes it so much easier to not accidentally set off the gimmick. Which, yeah, we got to talk about that gimmick because I love the gimmick. I love it so much. Again, I appreciate the fact that the lower jaw tucks into the upper jaw because of the way the gimmick works. We position this. All you do is, it's tied to this shoulder here, so if you pull this arm down, you get his giant shark head bitey mode, and I love this. It's so ridiculous, but also kind of cool. He sort of has a third mode, which is just a street shark, but it's really clever the way it works too. Because again, this lower jaw tucks into the upper jaw, so when this closes, then the jaw detail on his chest flips up and becomes the new lower jaw. And that works so well, and the way his head kind of ducks down, you can see how it drops down. So yeah, the eyes are still visible, but when that lower jaw comes up, it really does a good job of hiding the face. Yes, he's got a yellow, whatever the thing in the back of the throat's called, uvula? I think it's a uvula. But yeah, it's still cool, and I think, again, painting the teeth would be really cool here. I love this gimmick. It gets out of the way. and it's just fun. I have way too much fun with this. It's also clever how it's implemented in that when it sets off, like when you pull this down, you can see it only disconnects the upper part of the jaw, or the upper part of the head. So when this swings around, it's the act of this coming down that causes the lower jaw to pop up. So it even, like the gimmick itself even works in a chomping motion with the upper head coming around first, and then it all kind of connects in the lower jaw comes up to complete the biting motion. It's so cleverly done. And I love that it doesn't get in the way. It's just a very, very clever toy. It would be nice if he had a waist swivel. It would be nice if he had a proper thigh swivel. But like, for this line, the articulation's actually pretty solid. And considering this gimmick, it's an amazing figure. I'm going to say, like, yes, it's a simple for kids line toy, but it is a really amazing and clever figure. I mean, heck, when you enable the gimmick, what is the kibble back here, when you flip this around, the little dorsal fin now becomes almost like a little tail fin for his little pseudo-humanoid shark mode. It's so clever. I mean, it's probably weird for me to say this because it is like a simpler for kids toy, but like I love this figure. It's so much fun. And even though he does lack paint in some places, I feel like I could generally be okay with not even painting this because of the way the color's distributed, the way the detailing's handled. I'm genuinely in love with this figure, and I was not expecting that, given, again, how simple and what line it's from, but it's just kind of brilliant the way it's engineered. Anyway, I think I've gushed long enough for now anyway, so here he is with a standard deluxe, and you can see that he's only a little bit shorter. Moving on to not gimmicky stuff, or rather figures without gimmicks, here is... I should have posed him better. Here is Cyberverse Adventures Deluxe Bumblebee, and Bumblebee's to the top of the head a little bit taller, but if we're going to the top of that crown, it's about the same height. And from Bumblebee to the other Bumblebee, or stand-in Bumblebee, here he is with Spark Armor Cheetor in robot mode, and this is a bit more close in size, but Hammerbyte is also quite a bit bulkier. And here he is with the duck tank. Alright, I think that's going to do it for Transformers Bumblebee Cyberverse Adventures Action Attackers Warrior Class Hammerbyte, or Cyberverse Hammerbyte. I've said it already a bunch. I'm going to say it again real quick. I adore this figure. The alt mode is great. The robot mode looks great. The gimmick is both non-intrusive and just really fun. It's shocking to me just how much I love this figure. And I mean, yeah, there are definitely nitpicks, which I feel like I did a decent job sharing, like the semi-limited articulation, though, for the line and everything, not bad. The lacking deco, which, you know, what's there is nice, but it could use a little bit more. But like, for what it is, for what you pay, I feel like this is an amazing value and amazing figure. I feel like this is just an amazing all-around package. Simple but fun transformation, very fun gimmick, very cool looking shark mode, very cool looking robot mode, very cool looking robot street shark mode. That's really all I can say. I'm gonna stop carrying on about it, but yeah, this is wonderful. This is absolutely wonderful. So that is enough of my rambling about Hammerbyte. What do you all think of this figure? Because if you're on the fence, I highly recommend getting him, assuming you can find him. But whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And remember, art is more than meets the eye.